She was 26 years old. No radar, no warning. This is the night that changed everything.
The Grand Old Lady. That was the title given to her by Admiral Sir Andrew Cunningham, a man who never handed out compliments lightly. But behind that majestic name lay a cold, lethal truth. In less than 240 seconds, this scarred First World War veteran sank the absolute pride of the Italian Navy deep into the Mediterranean. It happened on a pitch-black night off the coast of Greece. Armed with new radar eyes in total darkness, her massive 15-inch guns thundered, unleashing absolute devastation before the enemy even realized they were in a fight. This is the story of how the Grand Old Lady rewrote the future of naval warfare in under 4 minutes. HMS Warspite was already 26 years old in 1941. A Queen Elizabeth-class battleship, laid down in 1912, launched in 1913, one of 5 fast battleships built to outrun anything they couldn't outgun. She'd survived Jutland in 1916, steering gear jammed, circling helplessly under fire from the German high seas fleet, and somehow living to tell the tale. By 1941, she was the flagship of the Mediterranean Fleet under Admiral Andrew Cunningham, a commander as aggressive as his ship was tough. And the Mediterranean that spring was a knife's edge. Britain was fighting to keep its supply lines to Malta and Egypt open. Italy's Regia Marina, on paper, had the stronger battle fleet. The only question was whether Italy could catch the British at a disadvantage, and whether Britain would know they were coming. Britain had an edge Italy didn't know about: intelligence. Signals intercepts gave Cunningham warning that a major Italian force, battleship Vittorio Veneto, escorted by heavy cruisers, was putting to sea to hunt British convoys and troop transports south of Crete. Cunningham played it cool. He walked into Alexandria with a golf bag in full view of suspected Italian agents, making a show of an ordinary evening ashore, then slipped back to his flagship after dark and sailed with his battle fleet, Warspite, Barham, and Valiant, escorted by the carrier Formidable and a screen of destroyers. On the 28th of March, British carrier aircraft found and struck the Italian force. A torpedo hit slowed the battleship Vittorio Veneto. Another crippled the heavy cruiser Pola, dead in the water. Admiral Iachino, commanding the Italian fleet, made a decision that would prove fatal. He sent 2 more heavy cruisers, Zara and Fiume, along with destroyers, back to escort the stricken Pola home. They had no idea the British battle fleet was closing in the dark, and no radar to warn them. This was the moment naval warfare changed. British ships carried radar. Italian ships did not. In the pitch dark of the Ionian Sea, Warspite's radar picked up the stopped Pola and then the approaching cruiser squadron, while the Italians, relying only on lookouts, saw nothing. Cunningham closed to point-blank range, barely 3,800 yards, a distance where an 8-inch cruiser's radar-blind gunners had virtually no chance to shoot back before the end came. At 10:30 p.m., Warspite's searchlights snapped on, illuminating the Italian cruiser Fiume broadside. In the same instant, all 3 British battleships opened fire with their 15-inch guns. Fiume was hit repeatedly within the first minute. Zara, alongside her, was torn apart just as fast. 2 heavy cruisers of the Regia Marina, ships that had taken years to design and build, were reduced to wrecks in a matter of minutes. their crews barely able to identify what was firing at them before it was over. The crippled Pola was found still afloat, boarded and finished off by torpedo. 2 Italian destroyers, Alfieri and Carducci, went down trying to defend the cruisers. By the time it ended, in the space of about 4 minutes of concentrated fire, Italy had lost Zara, Fiume, Pola, and 2 destroyers. Roughly 2,300 Italian sailors died that night. The British lost 1 aircraft and its crew. The numbers alone tell the story. In under 4 minutes of concentrated gunfire, Italy lost 2 heavy cruisers, then a 3rd, then 2 destroyers trying to defend them. Roughly 2,300 Italian sailors died that night. Britain lost 1 aircraft and its crew. It's one of the most lopsided naval victories of the entire war, and the psychological damage went far beyond the ships themselves. The Regia Marina had entered the war with one of the largest surface fleets in the Mediterranean. After Matapan, its commanders grew reluctant to risk their heavy units in open battle at all. For the rest of the conflict, Italy's battleships and cruisers spent far more time in port than at sea, a fleet that still existed on paper but had lost its will to fight where it mattered. For Britain, the effect was the opposite. Malta's supply lines held. The convoys feeding the North African campaign kept running, largely unmolested by a surface fleet that no longer trusted its own odds. Admiral Cunningham himself later called it one of the most complete victories in naval history. And for Warspite, a ship that had first gone to war a generation earlier, it was proof she still belonged at the front of the fleet, not behind it. Think about what this ship had already done by 1941. Laid down before the First World War even started, present at Jutland, circling helplessly under fire when her steering gear jammed, and living to fight another day. And now, a quarter-century later, still afloat, still at the front of the battle line, delivering one of the most complete victories in the history of naval gunnery. Cape Matapan was Warspite's finest hour, but it wasn't her last fight, and it wasn't even her most dangerous one. Within a year, she'd be off the coast of Norway, completely alone in a narrow fjord, taking on an entire German destroyer flotilla by herself, a fight most ships wouldn't have survived. And 2 years after that, off the beaches of Salerno, a German radio-controlled bomb, a weapon no battleship had ever faced before, would come closer than anything in her 30-year career to finally sinking her. That's the next chapter of the grand old lady's story, and I'll see you there. If you enjoyed this one, hit subscribe for more Royal Navy history, and let me know in the comments which battle you want covered next, Narvik or the bomb that nearly sank her at Salerno.